July 29th, 2020. This is the Wrestling Inc. podcast. I'm Glenn Rubenstein, joined by Raj Giri on a Wednesday, and he's back, ladies and gentlemen. Justin Scoops LaBar, welcome back to the show.
Good to be back. Didn't think I'd see Raj tonight, but I guess pleasant surprise. We'll see how the quarter hour ratings go now that everybody sees that Raj is here and not Matt.
I should just put a cutout of Matt Morgan's head.
We should get those made.
MLB style, yeah. Yeah, no, Matt ditching us tonight for Dr. Drew. He's on the Dr. Drew show.
I know. So many questions, so many things I want to ask Matt. And tune in Friday to see me recap the Dr. Drew experience with Matt Morgan. And then we'll talk about
My wife was on a show back in the day where Dr. Drew was on and met him and, was part of a panel that he was on.
Oh, wow.
So your wife was on Dr. Drew's show?
What's that?
Your wife was on Dr. Drew's?
Yeah, I used to own an Indian dating site, and she was kind of the rep for it. So it was a thing about online dating, and so he had a panel, and she was one of the people on it.
Well, not to be one upper, I called into Loveline once back in the mid to late '90s. So there was that. It's full circle.
What advice did you get, Glenn?
We're not even talking about what that call was about. I was having some relationship issues at the time.
Justin, your Dr. Drew story?
Yeah.
We all have
I unfortunately don't.
Oh, man.
Maybe nothing.
I mean, I had a weird episode in college with a girl. Maybe I should have called Dr. Drew to get advice, but never mind.
Loveline used to be so good. They used to be such a great show. So we got a lot to talk about tonight. NXT on USA. Everything that's going on there. They're amplifying some things in the NXT title picture. And then AEW tonight, we had some movement there, setting up match for All Out, Moxley versus MJF. Justin Lopez with a $10 super chat saying, off the bat, I just want to say how much money the MJF promo was tonight, how money it was. How money it was. I don't know if he wins it All Out, but he should be the first homegrown AEW talent to become world champion. I thought that was one of the high points of either show tonight.
That was my high point.
Yeah, I like this whole, obviously we're in an election year here in America. I like the, he's calling for All Out, which is September, usually Labor Day weekend or so. So, it's still a ways out. He's got this campaign feel. They got the United States and the plaid, like a scarf, and he's got this platform. He's announced his candidacy. I like this. I mean, it's got a good feel to it. I mean, it kind of null and voids anything Moxley does between now and then. So he's fighting Darby Allin next week. Okay, he's not. It's like that he's not dropping the title until that point. So it kind of. But at the same point, I like the long term, campaign angle that MJF's going to take here.
Although I feel like we would crap all over this if it was a WWE thing, but announcing the debate between Chris Jericho and Orange Cassidy. I don't know. That seems like the least AEW gimmicky segment they've announced to date.
Well, I think we would definitely crap on it if WWE was doing it between just two guys, but because Orange Cassidy doesn't speak, because he doesn't lift a finger hardly at all. When you say he's going to be in a debate, it's like that is an intrigue because of the character. Now whether or not it's going to be good or not, I don't know. It could be complete garbage. And then they of course have the angle as a mystery moderator. I don't know if they've gotten Bob Backlund or what they're going to pull out here, but I will admit this. I'm going to pay attention. I'm waiting for that segment because I want to see. Okay, Orange Cassidy. Are they going to do a debate with him?
I'm guessing it's Jericho, not Chuck Todd from Meet the Press. Anyhow,
probably not. The Jericho Orange Cassidy segments haven't been my favorite. I've loved Chris Jericho segments since he started in AEW. But this one, it has potential. So we'll see. But I thought that MJF, we'll get to it more later. But I just don't think any of the younger guys can do that like a 10, 15-minute entertainment segment like he could. A lot of older guys could, Jericho, guys like that. But not many younger guys.
And we had a debut talent tonight on AEW, a former WWE talent who made their debut on AEW tonight and is going to be back next week to team with Cody. There's so much to talk about. But first, let's get to a news item before we hop into this. Justin, what's the latest on SummerSlam?
Yeah, SummerSlam's the next WWE pay-per-view to come, August 23rd. And it's been really noted, it's been said that Vince, wants to do everything he can to not have a second biggest show being the Performance Center. He had to suffer that up and suck it up for Mania. So WrestleVotes, Twitter account that's been pretty pretty spot on with its reports over the last couple of years. WrestleVotes had a couple reports noting that Vince has been trying a lot of things. A lot of ideas been thrown on the wall. I think even one phrase even used by WrestleVotes was some outlandish options have been thrown against the wall by Vince of how they can get out of the PC for SummerSlam. But most recently today, WrestleVotes tweeted, and we have it the full thing on Wrestling Inc., that Vince is apparently shopped having SummerSlam at an outdoor venue and around the Northeast, but so far no states have been willing to take on the risk that would, of course, bring about to have a crowd, mind you, as well, have some kind of a crowd attend.
Yeah, I mean, I selfishly, I'd love it. I hate the PC. I hate the visual and the atmosphere of the PC. But again, we are kind of at a peak right now of the pandemic. So we'll see if they could find a place, if there's a way they could do it safely. NASCAR's been doing outdoor arenas, outdoor stadiums with 20, 30,000 fans. But
and what I get him trying to shop around the Northeast. Originally it was supposed to be in Boston, so potentially people who had their sights set on going to Boston, if it's in the Northeast, maybe they would be willing to drive. And again, New York, Connecticut, those are Vince's backyard, so you think he'd have some pull. But if he's okay with doing it outside, and obviously Florida and the Governor DeSantis is like, yep, keep doing shows. There has to be another amphitheater like Daly's Place. There has to be plenty of outdoor venues in Florida that he could go to, and Florida would be the best option on the context of the majority of the talent live in Florida, so they could drive to it. They wouldn't have to leave the state, and potentially, states like New York are asking you to quarantine. So there has to be an outdoor venue that he could rent.
People thought that with the Republican convention as well, and that is more or less canceled, at least from a indoor arena point of view, perspective, and finding an outdoor location. So, I mean, with Florida on the rise, maybe DeSantis has changed his tune as far as having it in an outdoor arena with actual fans. I'm sure there's probably another outdoor amphitheater where he could do it. So
yeah.
Just anything outside of the PC.
Go to the Daytona Speedway, put the ring and everything in the infield. We've seen the Daytona Speedway for NASCAR can hold like 100,000 people. If you put 25,000 people in that spaced out, you'd be okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we mentioned months ago, like doing it at the beach. If you do it at the beach, a closed-off location, have people adhere to social distancing, like the old WCW pay-per-views where they do it on the beach. It could look cool, especially if you do it at night. So,
I think at this point, anything that's not in the PC will look cool.
Yes.
I mean, literally, and it won't last forever. But if they get out of the PC and start doing Raw, SmackDown, even a pay-per-view out of the PC, it will briefly re-energize the show just a little bit.
Yeah.
Go to Alaska and do it on a glacier.
Yeah.
That'd be better. They have less infections up there. You could have people. Go to Germany or one of these other countries that has it a bit more under control than the U.S. There are options.
Well, if you did Chris Jericho, they did that those episodes of Dynamite on the cruise ship, and they look great. I mean, granted, you can't have that many people. I don't know how many people would want to go on a cruise ship anyway.
Yeah,
you don't do the cruise. You just do a nighttime event. You just stay docked.
Where were they when Lex slammed Yoko?
The Intrepid.
They were on a ship, right?
Yeah.
We talked about it the other night. That would be the steadiest boat to have it on.
Yeah.
Speaking of SummerSlam, if you're slamming this summer or your summer is slamming, I want to thank the sponsor of tonight's episode, which is Manscaped. Oh, Manscaped, you make all our lives better. You're making this quarantine and isolation period bearable. And now that summer is full of full action, time to lose a little weight. And I'm not talking about dropping pounds from the gut. I'm talking about dropping some pounds below the waistline and tightening things up, getting your groom on, as it were. Manscaped is dedicated to help you level up your full body grooming game. They will keep you fresh. The sun's out, the buns are out, but hopefully your pubes aren't out. Manscaped offers all the right tools to keep your hair groomed above and below the belt. They actually just released their Shears 2.0 nail kit, which is a perfect add-on to their Lawnmower 3.0 and perfect package. Love the case on this. Just satisfying to open. Look at this. The Shears 2.0 is a luxury 4-piece nail kit featuring tempered stainless steel tools, and it includes the slash-tip tweezers, the rounded point scissors, the fingernail clippers, and a medium grit nail file. Just get a nice polish going there. Smooth surfaces, that's what it's all about. You're wearing the flip-flops. People don't want to see those nasty unclipped toes of yours. And with the fingers, oh my God, you gotta get that in line, guys. Come on. You know, if you got magic hands, you can't have magic hands without magic nails. The magic fingers, as it were. No one likes an ungroomed set of feet, fingers, or most importantly, your bikini area. You know, the package, as it were. That's why Manscaped has forever changed the grooming game with their Perfect Package 3.0. The Perfect Package 3.0 comes with the Essential Lawnmower 3.0, that water-resistant cordless body trimmer. Got that ceramic blade there. It's perfect. Also comes with a ton of other liquid formulations to round out your manscaping routine. Now, this is the best trimmer on the market for those who need a chest shave or, whack some weeds, as it were. The third generation trimmer features the skin-safe technology to reduce manscaping accidents. I've had those before. Healing from one of those, not the easiest thing. Trust me, save the stress, save the screams. Get on it with Manscaped and the Lawnmower 3.0. You'll also find the Crop Preserver in the Perfect Package, the anti-chafing ball deodorant and moisturizer, because you know how painful chafing can be when you're wearing that bathing suit all day or just hanging out not getting dressed. Some of us can chafe while doing absolutely nothing, and Manscaped Crop Preserver will prevent against that. There's also the Crop Reviver, which is a testy toner designed to give you a pep in your step. Subscribe to that Perfect Package. You'll get a new blade refill for your lawnmower trimmer delivered to your door every 3 months. Keep things fresh, keep things clean. And for a limited time, subscribers are going to get 2 free gifts. That's right. The Shed Travel Bag, a $39 value add, and the patented high-performance, reduced chafing Manscaped Boxer Briefs. Raj, how great are those boxer briefs?
They are awesome. I've worn them quite a few times. They're very comfortable. I use Manscaped quite. I mean, I've shown it on this podcast. I mean, not the downstairs.
Oh, he's shown it.
I do the.
Look at the results.
I do the upstairs.
Whip
as
it
well.
out, Raj. Come on, show everybody what you're working with down there.
Not tonight, but I just ate. But I'll do my beard, to do the chest hair. Keep it all clean, and just it has replaced everything I've had before. So yeah, it's great.
Can I just say, all three of us have the Manscaped boxer shorts along with all the other products, which is fine, and all three of us enjoy the Manscaped boxer. But then I have a problem that I have the same pair of boxers that the two of you do, and that's like a weird thing on my mind.
As long as we don't wear them the same day. I feel
that would be weird.
Yeah. We should all wear them the same day, and then we could just drop trow on the air and hold up our boxers.
Use Manscaped so your girl does not have to call Dr. Drew and complain about.
Oh my God, can you imagine? I've heard those love line calls, and just and trust me, if you want people to spend time in that area, roll out the welcome mat, figuratively, not literally, and clean your stuff up there. But no, seriously, in those boxer briefs, let me just say, do you guys have this where, I'm this way with t-shirts too. I love those boxer briefs so much. I need to buy more of them because every time there's the laundry, those boxer briefs go right to the top of the pile, back in the hamper. Like, hey, can we wash those again? I need more pairs. All other underwear I own pales in comparison to the Manscaped boxer briefs.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
I'm gonna wear mine. I'm gonna wear mine tomorrow.
Okay, then I'll wear mine tonight and try to offset it from you.
Oh, there you go. Well, hey, you're going to get 20% off your order plus free shipping with the code INC at manscaped.com. That's 20% off you're going to save plus free shipping with the code INC at manscaped.com. And check it out. They got tons of great stuff. The Perfect Package, that new Shears 2.0 grooming kit, the boxer briefs. And you're going to save 20% off and get free shipping. Manscaped.com. Use the promo code INC. Summer is here. It's time to Manscaped and level up your grooming game. We thank them for sponsoring the Wrestling Inc. podcast. Let's talk about AEW Dynamite tonight. What did you think of Dynamite overall, Raj?
I thought the MJF promo was great. Otherwise, I didn't think it was as good as the last few weeks. But yeah, I thought the MJF promo was a home run, and that was really the high point for me.
Yeah, I thought the things that I enjoyed, I really enjoyed, and then I thought the things that I didn't like, I really didn't like. That said, even though there are pockets of things I didn't like, I thought Dynamite did a really good job with its overall pace. Like, it really kept the transitions from everything, it really kept like a frantic pace. It made it hard a lot of times to turn my attention over to NXT because they just kept an important feel. So I like that. That to me, that's a big deal to keep a pace, feeling must see rather than very repetitive, same formula, going to commercial, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. So let's talk about this opening of the show tonight.
Yeah, no Excalibur tonight.
Oh, that's right.
and they didn't mention why. They didn't say anything. Some videos from a promo he cut with Kevin Owens from his PWG days resurfaced. They've been around forever. They've been around for years and years and years, but for whatever reason, they kind of pop back up this week. So obviously some people thinking that might be it. If it was something COVID related, if it was COVID related, they had mentioned before with Tony Schiavone that he wasn't on the last shows because his COVID test didn't come back, but they haven't mentioned any positive COVID results yet, so who knows?
Who knows?
For instance, what's his face? QT Marshall. They never mentioned on TV that he had it, so who knows?
Indeed. We opened tonight with that 10-man tag match. The Best Friends, Orange Cassidy, Luchasaurus, and Jungle Boy versus Chris Jericho, Jake Hager, Santana Ortiz, and Sammy Guevara. Tonight, Matt Hardy showing up and making an appearance at near the end there. But what do you think of this as an opening segment, Justin, especially compared to the women's match on NXT?
Well, I think in name value, it's a pretty stacked, it's a pretty busy opening segment. So I was okay to that point, but then I don't know. This match quickly went off the rails for me in terms of, it's funny. They would then, after this match, announce how the main event's a tornado tag, and I'm like, everything's a tornado tag. What are you talking about? You got Jim Ross on commentary who's saying, Aubrey Edwards was the referee, and he's like, there's only one referee. There's no way she could properly officiate a 10-man match. She's out, and it's like, no, the referee's the law.
Right.
What do you mean?
There's nothing she can do. She can throw people out. She can disqualify a team.
Like that. So that's going on. It kind of, Luchasaurus mask is falling off. It was just one of those things where I felt like a lot of things just were not clicking. They were just, everything was a miss. Matt Hardy showing up, cool. I know he even said it on an exclusive interview we ran on Wrestling Inc. here a couple months ago. Sammy Guevara, somebody who Chris Jericho had even told Matt before Matt got to AEW, hey, I think this kid reminds me of your brother when he was young, of Jeff Hardy. So I'm not surprised to see Matt wanting to work with a guy like Sammy, and obviously they've had a little bit of history already. Should Sammy be the one getting pinned as he just came back from his absence of TV? There's a debate there, but overall, this as it went on, it just continued to go down for me.
Yeah, Justin, to your point, I thought this match was just a cluster. It got a little better towards the end. I hate the fact, this no DQ thing. I know they used to do that in ECW. They kind of do that in New Japan. But at some point, either you have the people not just ridiculously break the rules that you don't need to do DQs, or they become so distracting that they're not able to do it that it just gets ridiculous. Like, what's the point of having tags if there's no DQs? Then you never have to tag. Then there's no point. So at some point they gotta implement the rules a little. I'm not saying overdo it like WWE where you have DQs 3 times in one show, but once every few weeks, just to show that you've got a base and there's consequences for bringing thumbtacks. Actually that was a tornado match, but what's his face? Marco Stunt getting involved. That it just gets to be overblown, overdone, ridiculous. So
yeah, it felt more like an overblown, off the rails main event. I thought opening the show with this compared to NXT, this was the part where I thought NXT started in a much more promising, streamlined fashion.
And JR, you could tell he was frustrated with it. He was kind of later on saying, well, this isn't. He said something like it's not supposed to be a tornado match, and why is everyone in the ring? You could tell he was getting annoyed with it. So, and Jericho, he's someone that's kind of spoken about having rules and trying to have more sensible storytelling in matches. So, I was surprised as far as Sammy Guevara and Matt Hardy. Sammy just came back last week. I don't think he should be being beat his first weekend. I said this about Ali also the other night, and people were like, well, he's setting up a feud with Matt Hardy. You could do a backstage segment and set it up. You don't have to have Sammy, losing his first match. There's plenty of guys in that match that you can beat, that it doesn't hurt anyone, like Chuck Taylor or Ortiz or Santana. So I just think Sammy, just coming back. He served his punishment, so that punishment should no longer be a factor. He shouldn't be taking the pin. I'm not saying he should get the win, but he shouldn't have taken the pin yet.
Yeah, and back to AEW with their tags and such. I know that they have a strong tag division of interesting tag teams. They do. There's a lot of depth to it. But are you really showcasing that depth when it's not just traditional tag matches, but you have it's 8-man tags, it's 10-man tag. Next week there's a 12-man tag. Like at some point, like I would love. I mean, the AEW Dynamite's been going for about what, like 40 something weeks now. I would love for somebody who has nothing to do right now in quarantine. Between now and next Wednesday, come at us in the chat room. Go back and do the math. I would love to know the ratio of matches that have been on Dynamite in these 40-something weeks, of how many one-on-one singles matches there's been compared to how many tag or multi-man matches have been. Because at some point, it kind of gets like, are you just rolling out all these people out there just because you feel that you want to get them all airtime, or you feel that you need to get them all TV time to get established with the audience? It gets a bit much after a while, and especially when there's no rules.
Yeah, and that is a good point, because these multi-person matches never feel like there's anything on the line. There's never anything at stake. And even if you look at the ratings, it's the one-on-one matches that do better. It's the ones that have some sort of stakes, or a story, the open challenges, things like that. And yeah, having these multi-person tag matches, and this is not even AEW, just AEW, this is anywhere, always seems like it's just a way to kill time.
Well, it's the Justice League theory. The idea that, for casual viewers, I can get I'm knocking stuff over. You can get Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and Aquaman, all your favorites in one segment. It's this idea that I think they think that'll pop a rating, because people flipping through will be like, hey, I like at least 5 of the guys in this match.
Yeah, but there's only one draw right now in that match, and that's Jericho. And even his numbers haven't been strong the last month and a half. So.
Sometimes it just feels like all the multi-man matches are just an easy excuse for them to do all kinds of crazy choreographed spots. Like it drove me nuts. It was like maybe 2 weeks ago. The Young Bucks, when I think it was a match that they teamed with FTR, and there was a spot that was being done from the outside ramp, and somebody was on the top rope. I don't remember all the players, but I remember going back and watching the replay, and then it went viral. Like the Young Bucks were holding the foot of their partner, so that way their partner could be on the receiving end of this very cool, innovative spot. And it's like, what is that? Like they were helping aid their partners get an offensive move done. Like that just looks so bad. And it's not like it was a hidden parlor trick. It was the hard cam was shooting it, and they're at the very center of the rope doing it. Well,
and to that point, I don't think WWE would put this big of talents in a match like this. Like to do 5-man with 5-on-5 with this big of the stars in the company.
Well, they don't really have that many big stars right now in WWE. On Raw, like who would you put? It's Drew, Seth, maybe Lashley. And if you did put them all in that match, what do you do the rest of the show? They don't quite have the depth, because they've buried so many guys. I don't know, marginalized so many guys, made them just mid-card, lower mid-card guys. Whereas AEW has a little more room at as far as their star power. They haven't misused their stars. They haven't fully done what they can with some of them, like a Kenny Omega, and hopefully that's coming. But they haven't misused them.
So after this, Cody with Arn Anderson versus Warhorse for the AEW TNT Championship. So Justin, tell the people at home about Warhorse and why this was such a big deal.
I was hoping you'd tell me, Glenn.
Raj Giri, tell the people at home about Warhorse and why this was such a big deal.
Yeah.
Was this a big deal?
Somebody in the chat room, explain what's the big deal with Warhorse. And why
he looks kind of like I'm sure he's has some great matches on the indies, but he kind of looks like a poor man's renegade, doesn't he?
Oh. I was going to say
I was going to say warrior.
Not a poor man's warrior. Poor renegade was the poor man's warrior. This guy comes off as a poor man's renegade.
Right.
Yeah, no.
Like he's doing renegade for Halloween.
Yeah, so I guess and Raj can Raj could probably expand way more. I know he's a big independent champion, and it is a title that other people that have gone on to have some TV success have held. He's got supposedly a social media following. I mean, the guy's got like 20,000 Twitter followers. So I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Look, I'll say this. I like the fact that AEW is open door in the sense of it really does have the feel of, other than a WWE talent who's under WWE contract, and you do feel like anybody could show up any week, that Tony Khan is willing to
but
kind
this
of let
isn't anyone.
Well, I know, and that's what I'm trying to get at. I
Yeah.
appreciate I appreciate that, and for this, and I don't know much about this kid. This is the biggest night of his life, right? Getting a match that's promoted, being built up to against Cody Rhodes on TNT television. That's great for him, and that's great, I guess, for those in the business to feel like there's opportunity like that besides having just go to be a jobber or go be a paramedic in WWE as an extra.
Sure,
but I don't. This guy, it just didn't. They gave him flames. They gave him pyro, and
he had a cool entrance.
He reversed the figure 4 almost immediately the first time it got put on him.
And that's the thing. I think this booking strategy, Justin, to your point, this isn't like they're bringing in, Rusev or Miro to do a one-off or someone that's like a big name. It's little pockets of fandom, right? So if you're a Warhorse guy and you followed him and stuff, it's cool to see him there. If they brought in Broseph Joe Brody from Hood Slam, he's big in the Bay Area. If they brought him in, I would pop for that, but I don't think people outside the Bay Area would pop for that. Well, I think that's the problem with the strategies. It might be a little too niche into different pockets of fandom.
Right. Again, it's good for the business to know that this major company has an open door like this, but you're right. So the 20,000 Twitter followers of Warhorse are really excited. Let me see, did that move the needle? Did all 20,000 of them, and did all of them tell 3 friends? Like, let me see what his segment did, what his match did, because otherwise, at some point, it's like, are you just chasing a little bit of Twitter clout I think
it's more goodwill with the fans.
And I think that's what it's intended to be. But, and again, and I'll say this, the match wasn't bad, but I question the same thing I've questioned for weeks. If every week Cody Rhodes gets taken to the limit by some unknown guy or some guy that's had otherwise no credibility given in the AEW, at what point does it become tired and old? And I just go, I don't believe that false finish here. I think Cody should be winning handily against the guys who should be winning handily, and then when he gets unexpectedly taken to the limit, it makes it seem like a big deal.
Yeah. I felt like this should have been a little more one-sided, but I thought this match was. I thought of his open challenge matches, I thought this was the weakest one. And I think it would have benefited from being shorter and more one-sided. Again, I don't see Warhorse getting a big push right off the bat. I could see bringing him in, trying him out. But yeah, I thought this was the worst of the open challenge matches so far.
Wow.
I mean, what else? Can you think of any other that qualify?
I mean, I guess maybe that's the point. I think these matches aren't for us necessarily. These are for the indie wrestling heads that are just hardcore. And AEW thinks that that's their backbone. They think that's the reason they exist. So that's why they're giving these guys these opportunities.
At some point, you got to expand beyond that bubble and try to, appeal to mainstream fans as opposed to the guys that are already watching your show.
But who are they going to get, though? Who could they get for a one-off that would be bigger than 100,000 followers on Twitter?
Well, maybe you did Zack Ryder.
Zach would have been good, but the surprise after, yeah. I
mean, I thought the surprise was kind of like a fart in church with the way he came out. With the Dark Order of all, and we'll get to that. But at least, and you could have done a time limit draw or something, so you don't beat Zach right off the bat. And at least, at least it's something that gets people who watch WWE from back in the day, interested. And maybe you don't need to do this open challenge every week. Maybe have it every other week. So there have been some weeks they didn't do it. So anyway,
I do agree. It's great. It was great to see. Going right into after the match. It's great to see the debut of Matt Cardona, aka Zack Ryder. But I agree, Raj. It was kind of like he just kind of randomly walked out of the tunnel and to no pomp and circumstance, and who is that? I don't recognize. That's Matt Cardona. As if everybody knows who Matt Cardona is, the guy who's been. Matt Cardona sounds like a dude off the street, as does Zack Ryder. So it's like you assume everybody know. I would have. I wish they would have said something like that's a guy from Long Island. That's the Z. That's
the broski is here.
The broski. Say something that is a somewhat loosely without getting Jerry McDivitt suing your ass. Say something that's got some affiliation to what everybody's known him as for the last 13 years.
Right.
Yeah.
That's tough. That's gonna be tough with Rusev too if he goes there.
Yeah. KMU in the 94 in the chat was pointing out they could have brought Stephen Amell. David Arquette would be a good one. Like They could bring in some semi-retired guys, maybe who want to have another match or do something. I think that
The
probably
Godfather,
better for
yeah. Just there, you could get creative there.
something.
Doink. Somebody can play Doink. Somebody can play
That
Doink.
might be tougher.
Are you kidding me? Do you know the amount of illegal doinks I've seen at indie wrestling around this
Really?
country? WWE does not have enough time of the day to sue every doink and do a cease and desist of every doink.
AEW, they'd find the time.
Swoggle can make an appearance.
Swoggle.
Actually, that match would surprise people. I think Cody and Swoggle could probably put on a pretty entertaining match.
Yeah, but should they?
I don't know. But you know what? Here's the thing: more people would know who he was than Warhorse.
Oh yeah.
We're just going to get so much hate for our views on this segment. None of us are marking out for Warhorse the way a very specific pocket of the internet.
Hey, Raj started it. He said he's a poor man's renegade. He started it. The heat's on Raj, everybody.
Arian Gomez, $2 said he was so bored with Cody and his token title reign. In the chat room, think it's that Miro or Rusev is the guy to take it off of him. I think
That's what I tweeted. That's who I think.
Yeah, I think that'll be good. James Potts saying bring in Nick Aldis. Soundshop Flock saying bring in Enzo. Enzo is probably his star has fallen, but that's probably one of the bigger names they could get for a one-off right now. Yeah, I don't know. They gotta do something. But at the same time,
Big Cass. I mean, if you're
have you heard anything about how Cass is doing?
No. I talked to him literally. It was like a day before that whole incident happened, and we were supposed to talk like a few days later, and he just canceled out, and I haven't heard from him since.
But the other issue is, and then we'll move on, but this is sort of like the Blue Pants situation. It's like, why did NXT have Leva as Blue Pants and give her those opportunities over other women in the locker room? So AEW has this talent they're not using. Why are they bringing in Warhorse? Would that time have been better spent building a talent they have under contract who's not getting TV time currently?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I would buy that, Glenn, of they're bringing in people that are not under contract that they can lose and what have you, and so they don't hurt these homegrown guys. But they're having granted Warhorse lose, but he comes in and again he takes Cody to the limit. Like I would see them bringing in some guys for Cody to kind of not squash, but beat in like less than 8 minutes.
Right. So you protect the guys under contract.
Yeah, but they're just handing out offense to everybody.
So
real quick,
after
Jonathan Prado with the saying, glad Dark Order didn't win, but Paige and Kenny need to split. They're two needed main eventers, and respect to Uno's weight loss. We brought that up on Twitter. He looked almost the same size as Stu Grayson, but we'll get to that.
So after this match, when Cody got Warhorse to tap out via submission, John Silver and Alex Reynolds came in and attacked. And then Matt Cardona came out to make the save and yelled at the camera, "I'm here." Checked on Cody after. And he's going to make his in-ring debut.
He looked great.
Zack Ryder. He does. He's always
looks
looked
great.
fantastic.
He looked jacked, and
yeah.
And that's one of the things with the Dark Order, which they're supposed to be this evil cult, and those guys are tiny. You saw Zack Ryder with both of them. Just he looked like he was bigger than both combined. So
yeah, he looks. I mean, I'll tell you what's also exciting too is we know how creative. I gotta get used to calling him Matt Cardona. We know how creative he is, and and he was kind of ahead of his time with a wrestler doing a web series and stuff like that. So it is exciting to think, if he pick back up doing some things like that under AEW, if he's on being the elite. I mean, I know the whole point of the Z True Long Island story was kind of like to get himself over because he wasn't getting anything in WWE, and he's obviously not going to be treated like that in AEW. But I'd be curious to see like what kind of creative things he's able to try to do under AEW.
I almost thought that would have been a better way to introduce him, is having him do some sort of video like the Z True Long, whatever that was called. But something along those lines where all of a sudden you're like, oh, whoa, and just have to do something creative, and I thought that would have been a cool way for him to be introduced.
We just hate everything. We're just grumpy old men at this point.
Well, wait till MJF.
That kid I like. Everything else I hate, but that kid's got moxie.
There were some good things in the show.
For what it's worth, I absolutely think AEW is going to beat NXT in the viewership.
Oh yeah, I think I tweeted that the first hour is going to crush him. I could see AEW going down the second hour. It depends on how much the drawing power of Moxley is. But I think AEW will win the whole show, but I think they'll start off strong in the first hour and drop in the second.
Well, so in 2 weeks, Chris Jericho cut a promo talking to Tony Schiavone, saying that in 2 weeks he's going to have a rematch between him and Orange Cassidy, and next week they're going to have a debate with a special guest moderator. Sammy Guevara called Matt Hardy an SOB, said he's not finished with him, so to be continued there. And then we saw a look at FTR signing their contracts with AEW. I think it's no longer on a handshake deal or a verbal agreement. They brought in Arn Anderson as their advisor to look things over. And Hangman Page rolled in with some whiskey to help them celebrate their signing with AEW. So what do you think? All Out is when they're going to get that title shot, perhaps?
I guess that's the next big event, right? So that would be
a month away.
Yeah, be fitting.
Yeah, I'd like to see FTR beat Page and Omega. Page turns on Omega, and Page, FTR, and Cody start a new Horseman-like group with Arn Anderson. Don't call him the Horseman, but something else.
Raj, what do you think? Raj, what do you think? What do you think the point of this was? So for the last, however, what has been a month, 6 weeks that FTR has been officially in AEW, at least appearing on AEW TV, they've been like sticking to their story. They're saying it on Cornette's podcast, saying it to anybody that would ask them.
Said it to us.
Said it to us, right? Exactly. God, said it to us. What, sticking to the story. We're on a handshake deal. We're weighing our options, and then all of a sudden we get this segment of now they're under like. Was this segment a reaction to like what's been buzzing on the internet, or what was the point of doubling down these last few weeks of saying no, we're not boggled down anywhere right now?
Well, they got the provisions in, right? So I guess maybe that's something. They're hosting that event in 2 weeks. What was that called? The Tag Team Appreciation Night.
Oh, that's right.
So, I mean, it does seem like a lot of kayfabe for that stip. Yeah, I don't know. I guess there wasn't really that giant payoff, but I mean, it's something.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just as I kept saying, we're on a handshake deal. We're on a handshake deal. I was like, I don't believe that. I refuse to believe that.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
Yep. So after that, Hangman Page and Kenny Omega defend their AEW World Tag Team Championship titles against Evil Uno and Grayson from the Dark Order, with Hangman Page and Kenny Omega retaining via pinfall.
Uno looked in good shape. He's lost a ton of weight.
Yeah, Uno's getting it together.
Yeah. I'd rather him and Grayson just be a two-man tag team, get rid of the rest of the Dark Order. I think the bunch of dorks just brings everybody down, especially Brody Lee. Brody Lee came in at the end. What happened? He started talking smack, and then a brawl came.
Well, he was mad that Uno and Grayson lost. He basically smacked and abused them, and then I think he cut a promo right after that. I mean, this match was actually pretty good. It was a pretty entertaining tag team match for what it's worth.
I think it was fun. I was interested. Brody Lee out there pacing around. Colt Cabana on commentary. Anna Jay out there. So are Colt and Anna Jay now in the Dark Order?
Well, they asked Colt, actually point blank on commentary, they said, "Are you in the Dark Order?" And he said, "Now I'm just hanging out, weighing my options," or something to that effect. So,
but it's like two different factions, because Colt, Anna Jay, and Brody Lee don't look like they should be hanging with Evil Uno and the dudes in masks.
Well, they're the cool kids, and then they have like the hanger-oners, the putties patrol guys.
Yeah,
isn't it weird? Evil Uno was once came off as like he was the big leader of this big cult, and now he's just like another dude that's just getting.
He's a lieutenant.
He's a lieutenant, yeah.
He's the assistant to the regional manager.
Yeah, I think you got to drop the guys in the masks. I mean, keep Uno, but drop the rest. You have Cabana in there, Anna Jay, Brody Lee. I think it's way more effective with that. As soon as you have all the job guys in masks, it just brings the whole thing down.
I think the job guys.
I just think you could do way more with Brody Lee than the Dark Order. I think he's being wasted here.
Letting those soulful eyes go to waste. So,
by the way, Kenny and Page though they look good, and so I do like the slow storytelling, and I do hope that the turn does happen sooner than later though, because I feel like both Page and Omega could be used at the top as singles.
And the Young Bucks came in, broke up all the minions after that. And Britt Baker in her cart singing ringside with Reba got on the mic, talked about Big Swole. Says she knows that Swole's obsessed with her and that Swole wants to get her hands on her. And Baker says if Swole can get a shot at her in the ring down the road if she defeats an opponent of Baker's choice. Diamante says she's been busting her ass in the Indies for years, but went over Shida will shoot her at the top of the rankings. And then we had Hikaru Shida versus Diamante in a non-title match. And Hikaru Shida winning pretty easily via pinfall.
Yeah, I mean, a quick match. It was what it was. Britt, as always, she's on the money with the stuff right now. It's just AEW's women's division. Sheeta's a champion, but she's at best the fourth most interesting thing they have going on the women. I mean, Britt, they're number one. You have Swole. This thing with Swole was entertaining, and Nyla. Hell, even Abaddon, who we haven't seen in weeks. I'm still more interested to see more of her.
She was on Dark last night, apparently.
Okay, what did she say? I don't. Yeah, it's so.
I know.
I didn't see it. So
yeah.
But I'm sorry to all the Shida fans, and then she's got a great record. I saw the record tonight. She's like 14-1. So that's a really great record. But I'm like, she's again at best the fourth most interesting thing that with the women that they put out there. And obviously,
what's your ranking of the most interesting thing with the women? It goes Abaddon, Britt Baker.
No. Well, Britt's number one for me. But it's like they got sidetracked with Britt because obviously her getting injured, but they've still managed to do a great job of keeping her. If anything, she's thriving even more being injured.
I agree.
Doing this shtick. Yeah, I mean, they need to get her back to. They need to get her healthy, and they need to regain some control here.
I suppose hopefully she'll be back by All Out. So that's a month away, and yeah, I agree with you, Justin. I think she's been the star performer of the women on that show, just as far as personality, charisma, her promos. Ivelisse, hopefully she can keep her issues under control that she's had with other promotions, because I think this is a good time for her to shine. As Justin mentioned, Big Swole also, and yeah, I agree. Nyla Rose, I'd put them more interesting as characters right now than Shida.
Well, so they announced the rules for the AEW Women's Tag Team Cup tournament. Is that going to be on Dynamite, or is that going to be a dark thing?
Sound like it's a YouTube thing.
Nope. Glenn, we lost you. I think
it's a dark thing, isn't it?
I assumed it was Dynamite, but I could be wrong.
I don't know if they have the. I don't know if they have the depth that they want to go rolling that out on Dynamite each week.
Yeah. So Cameron showed up in a backstage segment, former Funkadactyl, and said that she will be teaming with Nyla Rose in the tournament. Yeah, it's going to be on YouTube. It's Monday at 7 Eastern on AEW's YouTube channel. So
I don't hate that. I mean, it gives another destination for those platforms. It's crazy that I forgot about her, Cameron. I think they called her Ariane. Is that her real name? Super nice person, but I have a hard time seeing her sometimes. I can't get the thing. Do you remember her on Tough Enough?
Yeah,
with Stone Cold. And Stone Cold, all the women give me the match that inspired you, and she is like Melina versus somebody from 2 years earlier, and Austin's like, really, you couldn't pull out Trish Olita or Mickey James or Chyna. He's like, I just started watching a year ago.
Right. Yeah, that's probably the most famous moment in that show's history. So, but that was awesome. But at least it adds a little depth. So and it's a nice little surprise. So It says the tournament will begin this Monday at 7 Eastern. Someone's saying the drawing is on the tournament. Is on Monday, and then the actual match is on Dynamite. So I'll look into that and we'll see. All right, still haven't got Glenn back, so let me pull up these results here. Sorry, go ahead and let me see. All right, here we go. Sorry, guys, bear with us for a second.
I'm glad to see Vicky next to Nyla Rose. I like that pairing.
Yeah. I mean, I like Vicky. I do think I do think there are probably people that could use a mouthpiece like Vicky more than Nyla Rose. Nyla Rose can already cut a promo, but it gives her something. But yeah, so we had Hikaru Shida get the win. Up next, we had MJF come out. He came to the ring. It was a very topical segment. He gave his State of the Industry address. He said that the marks know how dumb they are and gave a speech. Mentioned his hashtag MJF 2020 and not my champion. He said there's a reason why he's not given the spotlight for 2 weeks in a row, and that's because a certain someone doesn't want the spotlight taken from him. He said there needs to be a change. One man in particular called for a paradigm shift. He said that AEW has gone from a revolution to a dictatorship because a guy like Moxley can do whatever he wants and face whoever he wants. He made a dig about people coming in from WWE and taking these top spots. He said wrestling has gone downhill as wrestlers come out and flip-flop and fly until they die. Fans are now brainwashed that those things are what makes a good professional wrestler. And he says he doesn't have to play wrestler, though, because he's undefeated. He talks about ratings, how he actually draws better minute by minute than Jon Moxley. He just kept going on and on. He said the old guard has hurt societies in the past, and that's what's happening with Moxley. He said he'll be leading AEW for the next 25 years. He bleeds black, white, and gold. And he said AEW needs to transform himself into the pinnacle of professional wrestling, and he challenged Moxley to a title match at All Out.
I'm waiting with AEW's love to talk about ratings. I am waiting for it to become standard procedure that when a wrestler comes out, the lower third graphic comes out with their name, their record, and what their best rating has ever been for a quarter hour.
The average rating during their minutes.
Average rating.
I have never heard minute to minute ratings mentioned during a wrestling show.
I mean, maybe Russo flew off the handle one day back in a WCW promo and said something about a minute to minute, but that it leave me 20 years ago that happened. But
yeah,
no, this is a great promo. This is nothing new. MJF is super comfortable in his skin. He is he's what Baron Corbin is in a lot of ways in WWE, which is he's that guy that he's able to escape the cool heel box. He escapes the cool heel box. Like you really want to hate him, but like he still does get credit for being some good heel. Where like a Baron Corbin still gets he's the go away heat or whatever. But yeah, I mean MJF, he's consistently one of the best things they have. And then of course you have the factor of Wardlow, and it's like they kind of teased it a few weeks ago, and they've pulled back off of it. You're inevitably getting the Shawn Diesel treatment there. But this is good. This was probably the peak high point, and promo was entertaining.
Yeah, I thought he was fantastic. I think this is what wrestling is missing a lot: is the good promos, strong characters, and that's becoming a lost art. You're having a lot of people who are just working on their moves and their dives but not on their promos and character ability. And I was just thinking, like when I was watching MJF, which of the young stars right now could go out and control a 10 or 15 minute promo segment like that and just kill it? Like just from top to bottom, no nervousness, looking the part, playing the part, just deliver an entertaining promo. I can't think of anyone that could do it as well as MJF. I'm sure there's a few guys out there, like maybe an Adam Cole, but it's no one as good as MJF that I can think of.
Yeah, and little things you can tell that AEW trusts. They so often MJF is coming out and they cut the commercial, and that's a compliment in the rest of the world. If you're coming out and they cut the commercial and they say this guy's coming up next for a promo for a match, that's the company saying they have faith that you can hold the audience on. And with AEW doing the picture-in-picture, they leave it on for MJF because even with no sound, he can be so entertaining just going around, and he'll just work the entire ringside arena area, just going around one by one, essentially with no sound, just mute roasting people with his body language and what have you. And that's a powerful thing. That may seem easy, but to do that for an entire 3-minute commercial break, that's a long 3 minutes if you are out there having to do it, and he does it well. I could make a case to see that this is the guy that takes the title off Moxley with some inadvertent or what have you assist from Wardlow, and then the pot starts to get the water starts to boil more and more of well, who's the guy that really got you that world title? I could definitely see that happening.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I'd be in favor of that because MJF, he's kind of a homegrown star in a lot of ways. He just never on WWE TV. And yeah, you kind of keep the MJF Wardlow thing going, the kind of like the Shawn and Diesel thing, keep it going for a while until the eventual split. But I agree. I think MJF winning the title would probably be a good thing.
Yeah.
And then you got guys like Hangman Page or Kenny Omega, what have you, waiting in the wings. So could be really good. So next week, as we mentioned, Jericho is going to debate Orange Cassidy with a special guest moderator. Cody and Matt Cardona are going to wrestle John Silver and Alex Reynolds. It's going to be an MJF update. And FTR, the Young Bucks, Hangman Page, and Kenny Omega versus the Dark Order in a 12-man tag match. Good Lord. Okay. Yeah, it kind of goes back to what we're saying. I'm sure the match will actually be really good, but...
Let's count the number of actual tags that happen.
Well... Yeah, I mean, could you imagine?
JR's gonna get salty. I have a feeling.
Yeah. And then finally, we had the main event: Jon Moxley and Darby Allin versus Brian Cage and Ricky Starks. It's a no DQ tornado tag team match. Before the match, Taz cut a promo saying Darby Allin's not here after the attack last week. There were reports that Darby Allin had suffered a concussion. Apparently, he's fine. So Taz then hyped up Brian Cage for a bit, took advice from our podcast, apparently, where he stood behind Cage as opposed to in front. Starks took the mic and taunted Moxley. Starks cut a really good promo, and Starks is another one who, give him a little bit of time, I could see him up there as far as the promo ability and being a character. Finally, as Cage and Starks started heading out, Darby Allin left off the stage and hit him with the coffin drop, so he's there. And then we went to the match. Kind of what you would expect is back and forth. You had there was a spot where Cage was going to do a buckle bomb on Darby in the corner, and then Jon Moxley ran into the corner to block it. Basically caught Allin. They used thumbtacks, which I've seen a lot of thumbtacks this month. Hopefully they put those away for a while. Less is more sometimes. The finish of the match saw Moxley with an armbar and Cage. Darby Allin leapt off the top rope, double stomped the thumbtacks on Stark's back, who started instantly bleeding, got the cover, and 1, 2, 3, Darby Allin and Jon Moxley win by a pinfall.
Going real quick back to the promo, I thought Starks really sounded solid in this. I kind of like what I'm getting off of him. I'll be honest. At first, I was like, as the promo was happening, the whole thing, I was like, it's kind of weird they're doing this right in the gorilla position, right there on the other side of the tunnel, where they're screaming at the camera about Moxley. Meanwhile, we know Moxley's right behind them in the ring. But I will say, once it all played out, I liked it. I liked the fact that, because you're right, there was questions about Darby's health. And so I like that they were playing into that and making you actually believe, okay, they're going to have Mox in this handicap kind of situation. And then they come right out, and then Darby jumps. So I liked it. I thought the whole thing. I was critical as it was going on. I'm like, why are they cutting the promo right here? But then when I saw why, and they had to cut the promo there so they could then come out and be ambushed, I thought that was a good start. And this is one. Okay, so I'm told it's a tornado tag, so I'm expecting it to be chaos everywhere. Right. It was. The finish, brutal. Skateboard with thumbtacks to the back. I mean, I did a thumbtack spot once. I'll never do it again. There is no working thumbtack spot. They're in you. There's no way around that. Pretty. And then they announce Darby's gonna take on Moxley next week. He's got a title match, which I don't know what his record is, but he's got a title match. Yeah, so after the match, Allen's looking at Moxley and pointing at him, and then Tony, on commentary, they said Tony Khan signed Moxley defending his title against Allen next week, and they faced off in the middle of the ring as the show ended.
I mean, I'm sure it'll be a good match and everything. Unless they do a time limit draw, I don't think you should be beating Darby Allin right now either. He just got back, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, I agree. This is, I agree. WWE relies too often on screwy finishes, and AEW could use a few screwy finishes to get them out of situations.
Right.
So we'll see. But no, I thought this was, overall this wasn't bad. Again, I think AEW, I know we'll get to NXT in a second. I think AEW is going to beat NXT. I think there's no way around that.
Oh yeah, I think there's some people guesstimating here. Donald Lanzi saying AEW 730, NXT 610. I would think AEW is going to be higher, but I would think probably high sevens, but probably about right for NXT, or maybe slightly higher for NXT. I think AEW will be down a little from last week, but will still win comfortably, both in total viewers and 18 to 49.
I'll say AEW 766 to NXT's 660.
I'm going to say AEW 780 to NXT's 620.
And I'll raise you. I'll call your. I'll call your.
I'll see your 780.
Oh yeah, I'll call your auntie and raise you another buck.
So while I was gone, I'm assuming you guys spent the entire time talking about your excitement that Cameron Arian Andrews is going to be Nyla Rose's tag partner.
We did.
Funkadactyl, baby.
Dude, okay, so that's my point. The reason why I'm down in AEW is the women's stuff is an afterthought, and it's kind of insulting as a company how poorly they're overlooking and mismanaging their women's division, given what NXT has going on right now.
Yeah. AEW also, I mean, I feel a little bit for them in general. Like, again, outside of the, outside of Britt and Nyla and a few that they're really building around, AEW, the WWE went around and scooped up a lot of female talent between the brands here in the U.S., between NXT UK, and I know of several females who signed to WWE in the last couple of years since AEW became an announced thing, and those females signed to WWE, and they kind of knew that, like, I might have more of a range. There might be more potential possibilities for me to climb the ladder quickly in AEW, but before AEW has ever done a Dynamite episode, you don't know, is this thing going to be for real? Is this thing going to last? And I know that now seems foolish for me to say because they've had the success they've had, but you got to remember what it was like 2 years ago, just not knowing. And the ladies they wanted the guaranteed money. They wanted the security of having a job now. So, I mean, unfortunately, there's many ladies still in the WWE system that aren't being used because there's only so many minutes in the week. But WWE has hoarded a lot of talent, men and women, but especially on the women. So AEW's having to pick and bring in talent for the women's division that have talent and potential, but maybe they just don't have TV experience. And
well, this is not me trolling. This isn't me being funny. Matt Morgan would say I'm just saying this to be clever. I think Alicia Fox would be a huge asset to AEW's women's division as someone who's got TV talent and in-ring ability right now. Mm-hmm. I think they should bring her on. Emma would be great. There's a lot of women they could bring in. And
Deanna Purrazzo would have been great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To your point earlier, Kevin Irving is saying there's been 129 AEW singles matches, 17 3-on-3, 69 2-on-2.
Somebody write this down. Save this. I need this.
Now, Kevin, how many of those are on Dynamite? And I think what Justin's point was earlier was big matches, like your big stars, like Jericho, because a lot of these are Brian Cage winning a squash or Brody Lee winning a squash, or, yeah,
Kevin, I should pay you $10. How the hell? I made that request like a little more than 20 minutes ago. How the hell did you do that fast?
That's pretty impressive.
Raj, hire this guy for research.
I know. We might have a stats guy. Who can,
seriously,
be correcting us as we're going along.
Remember that segment that they used to do at Pardon the Interruption, where they would go to at the very end. Okay, where were we wrong? And they would have Tony Reale give them all the correct stats that they blundered.
Nyla is boring with a $5 super chat asking if I light my cigars with $100 bills. I'm too busy using those as toilet paper. All right.
And then you pay someone to wash it off after because it's still money.
It's
you
still
spend
money.
it. Yeah. Keep one of those for yourself.
Right.
You know?
Wasn't that an episode of The Simpsons where he did something like that, where he was lighting? Yeah, there was an episode of Simpsons where Homer was lighting his cigars with $100 bills.
I mean, I might do it and then blow it out quickly because I feel like the 100's still good. I just wanted to say I did it. You know.
Yeah. maybe with a 1.
And even then, it's like I don't know, man. That dollar, you know.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so MJF's promo I thought was the high point of AEW tonight. It was an okay show, but yeah, it just kind of main event was good.
I would go as far to say as MJF's promo, along with the Karrion Kross stuff with Keith Lee last week, is the best stuff on all of wrestling this month.
Steve Marcuccielli, $2.99. Where is Tessa Blanchard a better fit, WWE or AEW?
You're not going to see her in AEW. You're just not. I just don't. I don't think that they're. You know, I don't know. She's done a lot of she's done the intergender stuff. I don't think Tony Khan's a big fan of that stuff. We can just stop there, but I don't. I mean, but I also don't think that. I don't think you're going to see WWE jumping to grab her right now. I just don't.
I think, given everything they went through with talents that were like, I don't even know the way to put it, like opinionated, somewhat autonomous, right? I mean, like Enzo. Creative guys like Leo Rush that would butt heads and be outspoken. I think that Tessa, even WWE, might have pause about signing someone who has that much their own thing going on.
I mean, take a look at it, and look, and mind you, and this is just me just giving an opinion based upon what we know here. Like Tessa, she is good in the ring. She is a good women's wrestler. She, from just a shallow visual point, she's very, very pretty. So like she has the name, she has the pedigree. That's a lot of really good boxes to check. But this also is a talent who she worked the Mae Young Classic, correct, Raj?
Mm-hmm.
Worked the Mae Young Classic. She was a major stunt double in a major Hollywood film produced by The Rock, and she still did not get signed to a long-term deal. Zelina Vega was also the stunt double. Zelina Vega got signed. You're in a major Hollywood film that The Rock's doing, and you don't get signed by WWE. What does that tell you? That, to me, tells me that this has nothing to do with the boxes she checks for a performer on the air. That's something that tells me that there's something behind the curtain that just wasn't jiving. That all the context clues. That's how I take it.
You know, Cody was asked about that in an interview with ESPN today. He was asked about the possibility of Tessa signing with AEW. Cody said, I don't know a lot about the current situation with her on Impact. Tully, her father, is in AEW, but that's more Kenny Omega, Brandy, and Tony carving out the growing and evolving women's division. And they'd have more of a beat on that. She was a part of All In for us, and anyone who was a part of All In has a place in my heart. And on a personal level, he always welcomes second and third generation wrestlers to have the best experience. He said that she has a lot of talent. I'm sure it's something Kenny, Brandy, and Tony have discussed. So he's not poo-pooing that idea. And to your point, you know, with WWE, you know, they have hired people later that they didn't give a look at. But if both would hire her, where do you think she'd make more of an impact? And I think AEW, just because of how shallow their women's division is, she can just take that thing over right off the bat.
Smaller pond for sure. And look, and then again, I don't want that to be missed. I'm not rooting against her. Right. I hope if there is anything behind the curtain, I hope that, that stuff, performers grow and things change and what have you. I would love to see her have success at either WWE or AEW. But right now, AEW, I don't see it. And just the whole, you are the Impact World you're holding the title that is the men's title and a very bold storyline, and they're coming up on this big show, Slamversary. They cut you and strip you of the title 2 weeks before. There's just so many flags that it's like you just want answers to questions.
Buddy Barlow with the super chat. Is that true, Raj? Tessa wanted $150K to give the title back.
I don't think so. No,
probably not. Doom Tribe T, good point. Leo Rush would be a great guy to beat Cody as well. Leo Rush, like, you'd have six digits of people, 100,000 people would think it was a big deal if Lio Rush showed up to challenge Cody. That would be a much bigger deal than Warhorse.
It'd be a good surprise, yeah.
Every month that goes on, the star dies. But back to Enzo. Enzo would get, I think, would get some people talking.
Oh yeah, he'd be trending on Twitter, if he was on there. So, Michael Edwards asking if there was a Wednesday Night War event where NXT versus AEW rosters faced off, what matchups would you want to see? Also, hashtag hire Kevin. None really. I mean, as far as star power, I'd want to see AEW versus the WWE main roster guys as opposed to most of the NXT guys. Like Jericho versus Keith Lee does not sound like a big match, or maybe Adam Cole versus Kenny Omega, but there's not many.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the NXT tonight, opening with Io Shirai and Tegan Nox versus Dakota Kai and Candice LeRae. Intense match, went on for a bit with Io and Tegan picking up the win tonight. What'd you think of this, Justin?
It's good, and honestly, side by side to what we said, what I said, I think went off the rails after the entrances. I thought this was a better match, side by side. It didn't have as many bodies, didn't have as many people in it as AEW's opener did, but I thought this was a really good match. Just so, again, to the people that check out this podcast for advice of what to go see on their spare time, definitely watch this match.
It was good. I think Io Shirai was hurt by not beating Charlotte Flair. I feel like not having that win and at least Charlotte chasing her for a little bit to kind of establish Io, because usually you have that with the previous champion, the new guy beats him, then beats him in a rematch, or gal, and you didn't have that with Io. So I feel like it's taken a little time for her to feel like a big star, as compared to the other women on the roster, like you usually happen when someone wins the title. So that's my only thing. Io's super talented. The women in this match are super talented, but I do think Io's star power was hurt by not getting that big win.
Yeah, she didn't look necessarily that much bigger. I think what's going on with Tegan and Dakota is still really interesting. I think Candice really stands out. I think Io needs some more dominant matches where they just show what a badass she is, and give her a little more steam and some more wins.
Yeah.
Some more meaningful wins. Man, I know they won't do it, but man, I would love to see Asuka come back to NXT and challenge Io and lose to Io. They would never do that in a million years, but I think that
they had Sasha lose to her.
It's true. Yeah, I think that would be a hell of a match. But I think this was NXT showing what they do best, and I think this was a really, really hot opening compared to NXT, or compared to AEW, rather, which just seemed like throwing everything in a wall and seeing what sticks.
I do think AEW will have a huge victory in that first quarter, just having the amount of guys that they had in that match, plus Jericho,
Yeah, again, NXT... AEW, again, the pace was better. NXT had some good matches, and there was a real highlight with the Keith Lee stuff and Cross and Scarlett, which we'll get to. But NXT did not have a must-see feel to it. Again, there's a lot of things I've just critiqued about AEW, but I'll just say this. AEW, again, had even if it was something I was critiquing, it had my attention.
Right.
NXT just felt a little bit more formula. I don't want to say going through the motions, but I guess that's kind of what it was.
It's just easier to watch the AEW presentation of everything.
Yeah.
How it looks, how it flows.
We saw the Adam Cole and Pat McAfee recap.
Yeah, so if anyone was wondering if it was a shoot.
Jeez, you think?
Yeah. A lot of people thought it was a shoot. And even when I brought it up, the past Monday night, there were a bunch of people in the chat who were
so dumb
up and down.
But it's the thing. It's like, I like to think it was a shoot because as a work, this was so dumb.
I don't think it's dumb.
Really?
We'll have to see where it goes. I'm sure it's going somewhere. Whether it's Pat McAfee, I don't know if he'll be wrestling like in a tag match at TakeOver, or he's in like a team's corner against the Undisputed Era. I mean, you could easily do the Undisputed Era against Pat McAfee and 3 other guys where Pat only needs to know a few spots, and it would get some buzz and it'd be something different. But I'm sure it's going somewhere. And as far as execution, I thought it's better done than most of the angles on WWE TV.
And Pat's done some pro wrestling training.
Right.
Oh. Well, there you go. Do you think he would have the punt in his repertoire, given his past as a kicker?
He's a dude's from right here in Pittsburgh, man. He is a he's an entertainment juggernaut. Like I mean, he's already loosely affiliated with WWE. He's on the pre-show stuff, and I don't think this is a bad move. Pat reaches a demographic. Getting back at the ratings and demo and 18 to 49. Pat reaches. He was formerly on Barstool Sports before doing what he's doing now.
Oh, I know.
He reaches a demo that WWE would be wise to capture to make think, hey, look, our product's pretty cool. Pat McAfee's involved with us.
He's no Rob Gronkowski. I mean, let's be real.
That is, yeah. Gronk.
Well, here's the thing, though. Gronk obviously still has his heart in playing football. I know Pat. I talk to Pat. Pat has no issue. He has no plan to go back to the football field. He is happy. He is happy sitting on the money he's made, podcasting, doing his thing. So with Gronk, it's like, his heart's still there to go play and make some more money playing and win.
You know what this kind of reminds me of is that Lawrence Taylor, Bam Bam Bigelow angle. You remember that? Where Bam Bam, he shoved Lawrence Taylor, and then later he had to apologize. Bam Bam didn't actually do it. He was claiming he had audio difficulties or whatever. And then it kind of had a similar kind of build. So
I'd love to see Salt and Pepper thing Pat McAfee to the ring.
Mongo in his corner.
Yeah.
Sumed B saying MJF stole the night with his promo. His promo level is giving me Punk vibes. He's also with the hashtag hire Kevin. Yeah, Kevin, send us a DM. And then, oh no, I lost the other. Real quick, off topic. Jackson Collins saying he hopes they do something with Zack Ryder, Matt Cardona. He wished for a more clever debut, but good for him. He's interested. Markish with the hashtag hire Kevin asking liquor of choice, Macallan 12 or white wine. Yeah, there we go.
There you go.
All right.
That's what all your super chat money is going to, people.
Yeah.
12.
Yeah.
By the way, the chat room disagreeing with me about the Pat McAfee thing. McAfee? McAfee. Disagreeing with me more than they do usual on some other controversial
What are they saying?
stances. Well, no, people are like, oh, Pat's got a big I know I buy ads on Pat's podcast. I know exactly what Pat McAfee is worth. Yeah. And I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, I mean, if used right, obviously Gronk wasn't used right, and he came in at the absolute worst time with the pandemic and everything, with no fans at all, as opposed to what they got now. So, if used right, it could be something. I could see Triple H doing more with Pat McAfee than what they do on the main roster.
Yeah, and I like him on the pre-shows. I'm just saying, like, in terms of like a big moment, I don't know. Maybe this is just a more niche audience, But that's the thing. I mean, we complain about this when WWE chases niche audiences, but he is sort of in the family. Now, I don't know. Now, if Sam Roberts wants to get in the ring, I'm there front row, wearing a mask.
That's where we
pounding the plexiglass.
If they didn't want to have as much control over Corey Graves and his podcast that he does, was it After the Bell?
Yeah.
After the Bell, and Bear With Us with Carmella, which is a delightful podcast.
Yeah. If again, it's a WWE thing, so they're going to want to sort of out of control. But if they would let, again, Corey here in Pittsburgh, Pat, these are two guys that are friends, they know each other. But Pat, with his charisma and his following, I think that podcast would be great if it was Corey Graves and Pat McAfee hosting every week, and then they have guests and but I think that would do a lot for that WWE produced podcast.
Let me tell you on commentary.
Yeah, WWE can't afford Pat for their podcast. Like night and day difference in terms of audience. Pat's audience is much bigger than WWE's.
But if they had Pat McAfee on commentary with Corey Graves and just let them and cut the reins loose and just let them go and not overproduce them, I bet it'd be entertaining as hell.
That's one of those things where you do it and you're like, all right, nobody let Vince find this.
Yeah.
The moment he finds out this is happening.
Yeah.
I was kidding about the Sam Roberts thing. I really don't want to see Sam Roberts in a wrestling ring. That was sarcasm.
Sam Roberts and Keith Lee against Karrion Kross and Paul Rosenberg. Peter Rosenberg.
Actually, Rosenberg is my least favorite of the pre-show guys.
Oh, I like him better than Roberts. But Roberts hasn't having to play that heel character, and it just doesn't work.
Peter's all in on the Bobby Heenan. He's wearing even the Bobby Heenan jackets.
Yeah, I think Pat is the best on the pre-show, followed by Sam, followed by Peter. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But here's my question, though. Adam Cole, done with the NXT titles. maybe going to Raw, maybe going to SmackDown. Like what I'm saying, it's more a reflection of is here's Adam Cole, one of your biggest names in NXT, and this is the angle you're putting him in. Like, to me, this feels like kind of stalled momentum. Like, you just got to have championship situation. Undisputed Era is a big question mark. In a perfect word, Cole should be going to SmackDown. Doing this thing with Pat just feels a little...
This is better than going to SmackDown right now.
Think so?
You get a high-profile angle. It's going to get some buzz. It's going to get some media play. Whatever it is he's doing, whether it's a tag match or whatever, I think it gives him his most high profile encounter yet. And then when he goes to Raw or SmackDown, I think he comes off as more of a star depending on how it's done.
I mean, Pat's good, but we can all agree he's no Stephen Amell. Which, say what you will about that, I know a lot of people that's the last WWE programming they watched was for Stephen Amell's angle with Cody.
It didn't make a difference in ratings.
Nothing does anymore. Nothing does.
Well, it does. Goldberg did when he came back for a while. He made a big difference. For a while, Brock Lesnar would. Undertaker does.
I think back with Cole, I think they're. I think they're kind of buying time. I think they have an idea. I think Triple H, Vince, I think they have an idea of what they want Adam Cole to do if he comes to Raw or SmackDown, but I think that is very much time sensitive in terms of like pieces need to be in place. I think they're kind of buying time. I think they're doing the slow burn of Adam being kicked out or removed from Undisputed Era, because I don't think if he goes to Raw or SmackDown, I don't think the other three are coming with him. So
I hope not. And that's not a dog on the other three. It's just I think they'd be buried right off the bat if they all went together.
Yeah.
Let me talk about something I thought was delightful. I really enjoyed that Bronson Reed vignette tonight. I'm more interested in Bronson Reed now, having seen that this evening.
NXT's profiles are really good. They've been doing a lot of profiles on people, and yeah, very well done.
It just feels like right now in these triple threat matches, they're going with the person that's the least over. I know you want to push your new stars, but also you want to get enough veterans in that match so that people care. If it's a bunch of people in that match and no one cares, right now, Dexter Lumis and Bronson Reed, it's not exactly a marquee matchup that you're talking about so far.
Yeah, it is going to be interesting to see how it shakes out. After that, we had Johnny Gargano versus Roderick Strong. Johnny Gargano getting a win here.
This is a good pro wrestling match, but I don't remember what was going up against it live. I think this was the Cody and Matt Cardona stuff was going on.
Oh yeah, probably.
This is a good pro wrestling match, but as I said earlier, AEW, whether the stuff was really good or really bad, just had I gotta see it. I was like, you know what? I'm watching NXT simultaneously, and I'm like, I'll go back and watch it again if I want to appreciate what's going on. I didn't feel like I had to see it right then, and nothing was going to come out of it that was like, damn it, I missed that live.
I knew exactly what was going to be happening in this match. I know it's going to be good. There's going to be so I was kind of the same way, Justin. I wasn't as focused watching it. I might watch it later, but so I can't give it. From what I was watching, the work was really good, but I couldn't care less who won or lost this match. I think I got a little Gargano fatigue right now. He's just been there for so long. He's done the heel thing. He's done the babyface thing. I don't know. His character just doesn't interest me.
You know what's wild too is that when they first announced at the end of the summer, I think it was 2016 or when they first announced at the end of the summer that they were going to have a 205 live show, Gargano was supposed to be one of the centerpieces of it, and Triple H made a point to kibosh that and keep him with NXT. And I always think like, man, where would we be if he had to go out there and replace TJP and be the first 205 Live champion?
205 Live, the forgotten brand.
Oh my goodness!
I forget it's on the air often.
Yeah.
Still a thing. Gargano won that match. And Dakota Kai backstage cutting a promo talking about Io Shirai and being the number one contender. Rhea Ripley making an appearance with her new hairstyle. And looks like we're setting up a little something between Kai and Rhea, perhaps in advance of TakeOver.
Yeah.
Do you think it's going to end up being a triple threat, perhaps?
Maybe. Oh, yeah, 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. They got so much rebuilding to do with Rhea at this point. We also had Undisputed Era backstage. O'Reilly saying he's tired of the nonsense, getting hyped up, shipping everyone, reminding them who they are, how they've dominated NXT, declares the Undisputed Era is back in business, and walks off. Then we had Shotzi Blackheart versus Mercedes Martinez. Kind of a quick match with Mercedes looking very dominant over Shotzi.
Mercedes, in the women's division, she's the closest thing to a Karrion Kross, just in the sense of she has this vibe, this mystique to her, not to the level of Kross, but she has this command your attention, which is great. And I'm all ears, I'm all eyes to see what happens. I started looking in more. I mean, I knew who she was. I know that she's been around for a long time, but I wanted to actually see. She's gonna be 40 later this year, and so that to me that goes. Wow. You know, I don't want to be ageist here, but I know both of you.
I don't want to be ageist. But
well, I know both of you are over 40, but in the pro wrestling world, it's kind of like 40 is normally just about starts to be about the end of the line. So I was like, I knew she'd been around for a while. I did not realize that she, was going to be 40. So I was like, I wonder what what's her, where she's at in 3 years.
I mean, Shayna's not. I mean, that's
Shayna's 38, I think. Yeah, I mean,
Tammy's saying it's going to be Rhea versus Dakota Kai, #1 contenders match next week on NXT, which will set up who will face Io at TakeOver most likely. But yeah, I thought Mercedes looked really good tonight.
She does look good, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think her and Rhea could be a money feud coming. Once we get past this, I think that could be something really cool.
Okay, so here's the biggest thing to talk about tonight on NXT, I think, which was Keith Lee in this promo he cut, calling out Karrion Kross and what he did to Dominik Dijakovic. Scarlett coming out, and then Karrion addressing him on the screen. So they're doing this build. I mean, is this too soon to have Karrion in contention for the NXT title? Because I don't see how he loses this title shot.
Yeah, as long as they don't AEW it. As long as he doesn't come in and I mean, again, now NXT is willing to do screwy finishes, time limit draws, something comes out of the sky, and like
it's been a while since they've done that at a takeover though for like a world title match. I can't remember them ever doing that.
Yeah, and I don't think they will. I mean, I'm not going to make my official prediction yet. We still got 3 weeks, but based upon the attention to detail they put in with Kross and his debut and his presentation with Scarlett too. Triple H, Shawn, Road Dogg, they've all been quoted of just like saying this guy has just got dollar bills written all over him and Karrion Kross. It really seems like they are just shining him up and getting ready. And I'll tell you what, this is just my opinion. If I had one of the Nielsen rating boxes, I could help project the viewership. I was so focused with Keith Lee coming out because I knew somewhere in this segment I'm going to have to see or hear from Karrion Kross and Scarlett. So I was, and that is the definition of draw. You're not even the guy coming out, but I know that you're like, I mean, that says it all right there. And so this is the best thing. This might be in all three brands the best thing WWE has going is Karrion Kross.
Yeah. To your point, Glenn, if Karrion Kross got beat by Keith Lee and then he's feuding with Johnny Gargano after that, yes, it's a total waste. I think that Kross wins 100%. And I think maybe Keith Lee goes to the main roster after that, or maybe they do one rematch and then he goes. But it does seem too soon for Keith Lee to lose the title. I'd almost rather Keith Lee be facing someone else and they be building, like, obviously they already blew off Dijakovic and Kross, but if they hadn't done that and built that for TakeOver and then he gets killed there, and then you built to Keith Lee and Kross, but...
Alonzo Smith saying Keith Lee's going to beat Kross to TakeOver 30. He just won the title. He can't lose it that quickly. I think they wouldn't have had him get rid of the North American title, and they wouldn't have put him in this match unless he was Raw or SmackDown bound.
And that's what's so baffling is I thought when he won both titles, when Lee had both North American and World, I was like, okay, well, this is at least an exit strategy to have him face Kross as quickly, but not be completely Kross could challenge him, but Kross takes the North American title off of him, and so Keith is still world champion, or vice versa. So the fact they decided just to vacate and put a tournament up, I was like,
right.
Wow, you're really putting yourself in the corner here of gamble.
Now, KMU94 saying Karrion Kross losing now would be like Thanos getting beat in the first 5 minutes of the movie. But wait, didn't Thanos get beheaded in the first 5 minutes of Endgame?
It's also like Drew Barrymore being one of the title actors in the first Scream, and she gets murdered in the first 10 minutes. Spoiler alert.
Yes, but you can't do that popcorn. With Kross. Yes, you can't do that with Kross. I mean, that would be the biggest joke they've ever played on the WWE universe. Like if Keith Lee just comes out and squashes Karrion Kross.
Nah, that's not happening.
No, never.
I don't know. I mean,
Nothing surprises me that they do. Like, I would have thought that Charlotte would have put over someone clean on her way out, and she didn't get beat. But I just can't see them beating Karrion Kross. He's too cool a character right now. They've done such an excellent job with him.
And the SummerSlam weekend is, Hunter always refers to it that's their mania for NXT. That's that for the takeover. So if you're going to do a big change into the guard, even though Keith Lee hasn't been the guard for long, this is where you do it.
And I'm not even going to dignify Cameron Grimes' interruption by discussing it. We're just going to move on to Imperium versus Enterprise. I suppose that Enterprise. Better name than Enterprise.
Real quick, is a poor man's version of Heath Slater.
I get the same reaction. Like whenever they do a Cletus segment on The Simpsons, like I'm just kind of uncomfortable. Grimes is kind of the same thing. I think it's lazy.
This tag team is a poor man's version of if Renegade and Warhorse teamed up.
What's going to get more hate tonight? The comments about Warhorse disparaging, me saying Pat McAfee's not that big of a draw. We're just taking some hot takes here tonight on the Wrestling Inc. podcast.
I can't wait to wake up tomorrow morning to it from a DM from Warhorse challenging me to a Twitter battle of followers.
But Imperium versus Everrise. I mean, Imperium got the win. Whatevs. Call me when Walter's back. Yeah.
Is Walter in the UK? Is that why he's not around?
Yeah, I think he's been in Australia.
Undisputed Era came out and started attacking Imperium. Here we go. Isaiah Swerve Scott versus Jake Atlas. With Swerve getting a win. Quick match, but good.
Good, but don't care yet. Again, they haven't built either of these guys to where you should care yet.
Well, if you don't care about that, what about Damian Priest and Oney Lorcan next week in a triple threat against NXT UK superstar Ridge Holland?
I do care about this.
Oh, tell me more.
Well, I do. They did a profile and a vignette on Ridge. If you have seen him in NXT UK, he is a very physical, dominant guy. So, like, this is one of those things where, like, they're doing a profile on him. So, like, now it is a triple threat. So Ridge could not win, but he could also be the one that doesn't get pinned. So that would be a protection of him. I hope it's Damian Priest. I want to see Priest in contention for this North American title. And that is the only way you can go about it without pinning this new guy coming over from NXT UK is, again, having him just not involved in the finish. But so all those factors I just said, I'm interested to see this.
Or you go balls to the wall with him, you have him win it and end up winning the title. I mean, this dude, they made him look like Brock Lesnar in that promo.
They did. Yep, they did.
They did a good job in that.
Yeah. So, the main event tonight, the triple threat qualifier for the North American title ladder match at TakeOver. Finn Balor versus Dexter Lumis versus Timothy Thatcher. And Dexter Lumis getting the win. Interesting that Thatcher almost had Balor tapping out, but then Lumis did the silent submission on Thatcher, giving him the win. Absolutely the right call, right?
Yeah, I mean, they put a lot of time behind Lumis. I know there's a lot of Finn fans out there, and I don't want to be the bearer of bad news. I think the Finn train is just passed.
I think the Finn fans are just a little tired of the Flim Flam.
I mean, Finn, we thought there might be a re-energize of him in NXT. They didn't. He's not. He's there. It's fine. But I don't know what Finn. I don't know what his contract status is. I don't know. But he's not going to be the guy they're going to push to be like the face of the brand again or something like that. But Lumis he's done a lot of things with them. He's had a lot of TV time and investment. I like this finish. I like him slithering in and putting his submission on while another guy has a submission. I thought it was very Dexter Loomis-esque for the character. So,
Wait, you're saying Dexter Loomis did something very Dexter Loomis-esque?
yeah, it was good. it was.
That's the most Justin LaBar-esque thing you've said tonight.
I didn't know any other way to describe it. That's what Dexter Loomis would do. So I was okay with this. I really was. Yeah, I don't know where Finn goes from here. I have no clue.
See, I disagree. I think Finn, you need some star power in this match, and there's absolutely none so far. Dexter Loomis, I don't get it yet. I know Road Dogg loves him, but I just don't see it. And I think Finn, yes, he hasn't been that superstar in NXT that I think people were hoping, but I still think he adds star power to that match. And right now, who's in that match next week again? Is Ridge Holland, and who are the other two?
Priest and
Oni Lorcan.
Oni Lorcan.
My money's on Oni, clearly.
My money's on Priest to pin Orkin, and so that way Ridge doesn't get harmed.
I think Ridge has to get the win.
But do any of those names, maybe Priest, but really, excite you for this match?
Well, it shouldn't be the main event.
But it's the North American title match, ladder match.
Well,
Usually
it's qualifier.
Right.
The opener.
But what I mean is, any of those names getting in that match, really, with Bronson Reed and now Dexter Loomis, it's not a marquee matchup so far. You need to get some. You need to get at least a name or two in there, and I think Finn could have been that guy.
I agree. Justin Lopez, $5, saying I'm in agreement. Raj, he's Slater's replacement if Grimes, when and if Cameron Grimes gets to the main roster.
Yeah.
Stop all this main roster talk. I have to let it slide too many times.
I know. We're just waiting. Just waiting to see when Justin's going to break.
Pissing me off.
Joe White, Dexter Loomis looks like a serial killer who works at Banana Republic.
I think that's what he's supposed to be. I think he's supposed to.
I think Loomis is good. But see, Loomis is doing that, though, and then you have Karrion Kross. Like, they need more unique personalities. You know what I mean? I mean, Karrion's more of a monster, but still, like, the creepy guy and the monster guy, I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, is it Oni Lorcan, not Orkin? You said Orkin, Justin.
He's not going to win. It doesn't matter.
Yes. Good to see the Robert Stone brand picking up a win tonight with Mercedes.
Yeah, that was NXT. Justin,
that was NXT.
A couple more. Oh, Stone Cold. We mentioned.
Yeah.
We mentioned WWE wanting to bring SummerSlam back in front of live fans.
Yeah, another, and that was from WrestleVotes. Another WrestleVotes report coming out is that much like we saw with Triple H earlier this year, that WWE apparently has some plans to maybe try to do a 25th anniversary for Stone Cold Steve Austin. So there's not much more other than that, other than the thought that maybe an Austin appearance, as he always does, that would give a bump to the rating for that given night. The WrestleVotes noted that maybe it would be in the fall time when WWE is hopeful they have some fans there. So this is interesting. I mean, Steve came into WWF very, very late 95, early 96. So, the Austin 316 did not get born until June of 96. So my opinion would be wait until next June. Literally, wait until next year when hopefully they're back with some more normalcy and you have fans and live gate and everything, and it would be 25 years to the month of Austin 316 being born. You can try to tout. You can try to bring him out there. They had him out there at the PC around Mania time with that awkward Byron Saxton segment.
Oh yeah.
Don't do it right now. Wait until you are. Don't waste that right now. Because yes, it'll pop a rating for a week. It'll do well for a week, but it's not going to do anything that's going to carry on to the weeks following. So just hold this off.
Well, not like in November when it's the 35th anniversary of the wrestling album being released. And I'm looking forward to what the WWE has in store for that.
I bet you it's nothing.
I was talking about this with Matt Kuhn the other day. I was like, we could get Land of a Thousand Dances redone by current wrestlers. The only question is, would independence and AEW involvement preclude any WWE stars participating?
This November's also 30 years to the date of Survivor Series for Undertaker.
Yeah, there you go.
Real quick, also, Impact this past. So, the episode coming off the Slammiversary, I'd mentioned on the last episode, I didn't have the final number. It's actually 163,000 viewers, only up 4.5% from the week before. They had done 156,000 the week before. It's actually lower than the average of what they had been averaging from January through March. They had been averaging 174,000 viewers. Since April, they'd been averaging 147. So they got a little bump, but bringing in that much talent and that small a bump, hopefully they build on that. But and not big numbers like I think, or big increases like I think some people were expecting. Raw also this past Monday night doing their second all-time low of 1.617 million viewers. Basically all the all-time lows have been this month. This is down 1% from last week's 1.628 million viewers. But the really bad number was it did 1.699 million viewers in the first, 1.688 in the second, and the third hour fell to 1.463, and that had the ending of the Sasha versus Asuka match, the Drew McIntyre versus Dolph Ziggler. That 1.463 million viewers is the lowest rated hour in WWE Raw history.
Damn.
All right, Raj, I'm putting you on the spot. Before the end of 2020, will Raw see an hour that drops below 1 million?
I think so. I think with the football, the playoffs, and possibly a debate, because I think the debates have been on Monday nights before. Mm-hmm. I mean, if we're at 1.4 right now, football usually drops, 15%. That's taking you down to, high 1.2s. And I think so. What do you think?
I don't know if it could go below. I think there's still lower to go. I didn't know if it could go below 1 million. I could see it going as low as 1.2, 1.3. But that's all I was wondering. I want to ask you, because you're right. Debate with the elections going to heat up soon, and NHL and NBA are coming back. MLB just came back. NFL's planning to. I mean, it's
assuming they all do, and they all go off
right.
the schedule.
Sure. But yeah, that's what I was wondering. Could Monday Night Raw, what was once dubbed the flagship, could it drop an hour below 1 million?
I think that Randy Orton could win the main title at SummerSlam.
I know it's time to get out of here. So I was debating this with Nick Hausman on the Wrestling Inc. Daily today. I'll be back on tomorrow. Cheap plug. Yeah. I don't think that they're going to take the title off of Drew until they get a crowd. I think they are going to ride with Drew and not even try to crown a new champion. Even though Randy Orton's so established, I don't see them changing world champion on Raw until they're back to some normalcy. I just don't.
Well, what if you did this? What if you took the title off Drew? With outside interference, whatever, Randy Orton gets a disputed win, and then that way you could finally do Drew winning the title once fans are back, and then give him that real momentum because his ratings have been sucking.
His ratings have. I don't know if I put it all on him. I put it on a lot of factors, but the magic's already happened once. Drew beating that would have been a moment in Tampa and then the stadium. I don't think if you take it off of Drew in August and let's say by Rumble you try to have him win it back, I just don't think it's going to be the same thing. I don't think it's going to be the same organic feel. So I just don't. I don't know. There's such a lack. I mean, after Randy, there's just such a lack of credible heels on Raw. Seth's fighting with Dominic.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's been bad. I do think it's a matter of time before the two brands start merging a little more and appearing on each other's shows because they have no depth right now, especially on Raw.
I'd love to know. I'd love to talk to a USA executive and say, look, I understand that if Raw went to 2 hours, that extra hour you can run Chrisley Knows Best or NCIS probably isn't going to make as much money as the shitty third hour Raw. But I don't know. I just want to know at what point is the breaking point? Because again, even pre-pandemic, 3 freaking hours is too long every weekend.
How's Cannonball doing in the ratings?
Yeah, right. And Triple H has said as much in the conference calls he does with us without coming out bluntly and saying he notes 3 hours is that's a chore every week.
Yeah, I mean, I got to wrap up here in a second, but I do think WWE, they kind of sold their popularity and the best product for the fans by taking that third hour. You get that extra money. You're getting more money than ever right now because of that TV rights, and that extra hour of Raw is probably like $50 million a year. But you are sacrificing your long-term popularity, your long-term gaining popularity, and it's just going to hurt them year after year after year. We've seen year after year since they moved to 3 hours. Actually, more or less year after year since 2000. But really, since they moved to 3 hours, you saw the drastic declines.
I think all because Triple H made fun of Justin LaBar many moons ago. Mm-hmm. You know, that was the turning point.
He did. You can find that on YouTube. He called me out, me and my loser friends, and that we bitch on the internet about what happened.
Here you are bitching.
All right. It's why he is who he is. Was it a work or was it a shit?
Well, nothing's going to top that, folks. He's at Justin LaBar. He's at Raj Giri _303. Matt Glenn Rubenstein. We'll be back here Friday night to complain about SmackDown and talk to Matt Morgan about what it was like doing Dr. Drew's show. So until then, folks, take care. We'll catch you back here on the Wrestling Inc. podcast.